I want to preface this. Well, since the assignment was about, let me check. Should be around here somewhere. All right. Since it was about, please give me a second. Since the third part of this final project is the oral history of the person who makes a dish, and this dish so happens to be have made by me, I guess I'm doing more of a presentation or standing. Yeah, okay. Well, so I'm gonna start off by saying, I'm a, uh, I'm a very passionate about my hobby of fishing, recreational fishing. Um, I've been fishing since I was 8 years old. The first time being with uh with my father, as previously mentioned, at Redondo Beach Pier. Yep. I think we can see it from here. Yes. This is Fisherman's Wharf, part of the Redondo Beach Pier. Everyone just knows it as the pier, Redondo Beach. It's pretty well known, in Southern California, along with like many other piers around the area, like I think it was Manhattan, Santa Monica, especially too, with Mackerel. But it's the ocean, right? It's not the only thing that's there. There's a lot of fish, in the ocean, obviously. Yeah, I think I want to cover that for a little bit. Here's why mackerel is my favorite, and not other fish. The most common fish I actually catch is this. It's not exactly that. There we go. This guy. The round stingray. Sorry, no, that's why I saw it as that. This is the fish I catch the most, the very most. I say about like 100 of them I catch. 100 fish I catch, I would say like 60 are these guys because they just love cleaning up, the ocean with like dead matter, which is what I used to fish a lot. Dead bait like cut squid bait. That is also fished here in California. I use this brand. Should be, yeah, there we go. This guy. I use that along with this and sometimes or more. I use a lot because it's the mackerel's more favorite bait, and it also doesn't get off the fishing hook that that otherwise would slip off. such as like sardine. The meat, the bait is too soft, and when you're throwing it, or as we say, casting it, it has a tendency, like 1 out of 4 times, to like slip right off the hook, and then you just have to reel in the line and hook it up again with new bait. That's not the case with the squid. But being a squid, these stingrays love eating it. Love. I also like this fish, which is also what I fish here in California. These you find more the surf. The surf, yeah. You catch these more often in the surf because, well, they're native here, obviously. Right? There's an abundance of them. They're pretty common during the summer when their main source of food being sand fleas are also abundant during that time, especially with their roe. Um, this is what I'm talking about. As you can see, they love that orange. Just like um, kicks them up, and then yeah. But that's not what I'm talking about. The reason why mackerel is my favorite, despite it having the name of chub mackerel, is it just tastes good to me, and I like how strong the odor can be, and the taste of fishiness. Not a lot of people like it, which is interesting to talk about because if you ask a lot of anglers or just what fish they don't like eating, it surprises me that a lot of non-Hispanic or non-Asians don't typically eat this. That it's just bait fish to catch bigger fish or different fish, which is interesting because they're pretty big. As you can see, they can run like 2 feet, and I'm not sure about 6 pounds. I've never seen 6 pounds, but yeah. And what I typically use to fish these fish, this is my setup. I want to go back to the maps. Now, that's where I live. We're down the beach. Here we go. I also fish this on this jetty to sometimes catch rockfish. Haven't had my luck yet. Maybe because I go too late. But here is a pier, and you're only legally really allowed to fish right here to right there. This would be the cutoff point. You can't fish there. That's on the restaurant roof, as you can see. Um, but I usually fish this area. This is the honey spot to catch fish, mackerel. The thing with mackerel is that they don't get too close to shore even during like the peak times they are. They usually don't get it here, and they swim in big schools. I forget how many. I think it should say here. I don't know, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's like I that's how many there are. When it's the summer and fall, they typically move away from like the deeper ocean and get close like up to I want to say here. All right. So you like a standard rod, like a 7 foot rod, would be really hard to cast it beyond, I would say, like 30 feet with the right action, the right stiff rod. At 7 feet, it can like maybe get here, which is why you see a lot of Asians, especially Asians, because I think it's because they're used to that type of fishing. Um, they really like using telescopic rods. And I've seen that. Something not like this exactly, but they do like using it. They like using long rods. For example, I use this rod when I go fishing, like at the beach or on the pier to catch mackerel. It's the Daiwa no cast. There we go. I can find a better picture. Yeah, that's the best picture yet. I use this rod, which allows me to sling 3 ounce pyramid sinkers. You need weight at the end of your line to be able to get to the fish here. With my 12-foot rod, like overhead casting especially, I can get up to maybe 100 feet. Like so, like around here, if I can. So that's 20, or yeah, like 100 feet, like around here. And that's where you can get the sweet spot of the mackerel. So along with this, it's pretty stiff. It's pretty long. It's actually pretty light. And I use it with this reel. With this reel, 6,000 size spinning reel made by Daiwa, one of my favorite brands overall. It's also my dad's favorite brand. Like they're affordable. They're not too expensive. Although this isn't rated for salt water, it has some resistance to it. I just wouldn't get it. Like I wouldn't submerge it. Obviously, like this is salt water. Like you can submerge that and it would be fine. But I'm viewing off topic. So yeah, I like fishing here. This spot is so popular that on Fridays and like the weekends, people usually, like I said in my paper too, that's predominantly Asians and Hispanics in this area, and what they do sometimes, and we've done that. I've done this with my extended family, some like once or twice. It was really cool. It was like an overnight camping. It's not really loud, but it's no one's really camping. They just like have blankets and everything to keep warm during the night. Is like they take like shifts, right? So like one family stays there and it's for a certain amount of time, and then when like another family or like person or the people they're going like they're taking turns with would come and take their spot, and then like they would leave with fish, a bunch of mackerel. It's not uncommon to see like buckets full of like mackerel during the fall and summer, especially during like the fruity frenzies, which are pretty cool. That's when like they get really close to the pier, like right here. Like it's like Black Friday for fishing for like mackerel. So that's like one of the reasons I like it. It's pretty abundant. They're very it's a sustainable population here in California. No, people take like buckets full, and like the legal limit being 15, obviously. Uh, Side note, just because I want to kind of like flex, is that to fish on the beaches or literally anywhere else besides public piers, you need a fishing license, and that fishing license, is only for two rods really to fish anywhere, as long as it's not a protected area. For example, it's actually pretty close to it. The Palos Verdes. This area, I think, pretty sure. Oh yeah, here you go. Should say around here. I have an app on my phone for this, but this is on my computer, so I can't really reference it. I do know there's a preservation, right? There's fish there, there's calico, um, some reefs, I think, something like that. There's structure here where fish like to hang out and nurse their young. So this is off limits to fish at, either commercial or recreationally, just to protect the population of fish. But pretty much anywhere else is pretty fair game. But that doesn't mean like you fish during yoga fish. Now it's pretty complicated surf fishing. I don't have a lot of success. I'm still learning, but it's been pretty fun to go with my dad. But yeah, again, I'm viewing off topic. But Redondo Beach has been like a large part of my childhood, and my experiences with fishing with people who love fishing as well. You know, it's really fun to see like old men, like start laughing when they get a bunch of fish. We use something called sabiki rigs. It's not. It's like kind of like hooks that are that they put lures on. This is a better picture to imitate the little bait fish that mackerels eat. And usually a little squid on that like lets them smell it too. And the idea behind it is that you launch it. You don't want it to be stationary, but you want to slowly reel it and give it like enticing, like it's bait, like a little small school of bait fish, and the mackerel will just eat it. Just like you can, like they're pretty small, but they give like they shake a lot. They give a pretty good fight for such a small fish, which is also another reason why I love them. But to get back on topic, the way I came to make my own way of cooking mackerel and raw and is it's very influenced by my Mexican culture. My dad would just like fry fish whole, and it was all right, but it kind of gets annoying having to pick around like the small bones that these fish have. They're called pin bones. Usually, this fish has this is I don't think this is species mackerel. It's the same thing. This is a better picture. Um, Along the ribs, there's bones obviously, but this fish has little small bones in here. So if you eat it whole, you have to be pretty careful, and that's kind of like time consuming for such a small fish. So which is why I opted for filleting it, um, like this. Fillet it, and with the pin bones, I get like tweezers to pull out little pin bones. And yeah, if I go back to my recipe, here we go. This isn't like the actual recipe I follow. It's just something I just whipped up because I don't have it in writing. I just have it in my mind. Um, I like to maximize the amount of flesh I get, or meat, or whatever you want to say. So I would usually I try to save as much as the fish as I can because it's still an animal. And the least I can do is respect its life and not waste any flesh, any meat it gives me. So what I do, the only thing I really don't have the time to process is the bones, which I would really like to make into a sock sometime, which is also something that made me think during this project. I use this. I sometimes eat the tail. It's not exactly the most tasty part, but it is pretty crunchy, and sometimes I like that. I would cut a. This is where I would try most fillets, like you see here, go behind the fin. A lot of not many people do it the way I do it because it's time consuming, very time consuming. Like you waste like another like extra minute trying to get around the collar for like that sliver of meat, right? So that's the way I do it. I get the from the tail right here. Usually I cut off right here, so that when I fillet it, it doesn't like take off the whole tail, and up to beyond its fin right here, right before it's a gill plate. I think it's called. But my dad, does it whole, as I was saying. He cooks it whole. I didn't like that way. That it's too much time, so I opted for this. In the future, I do want to make stock out of this and see how it tastes. But for now, I use it for like bait for chum to catch more of these guys, which is kind of scary. They're cannibals. They do eat each other. I've used them as bait, and they do like themselves. They like to eat themselves. The head I use bait for stingray when I'm bored. When I can't, I don't. When I get skunked, which is like I can't catch anything. And the rice, I got an idea from when I was in Little Tokyo in the Maracay, yeah, market. They have a little section where they have food ready to eat, and they have this one dish where it's like they call it salt. I think it's called salba, which is mackerel basically. It's the mackerel. It is mackerel with some rice, and then it was pretty affordable. That's another thing about mackerel. It's a pretty affordable fish, even if you don't fish it. It's like ridiculously cheap, and it's pretty healthy actually. But I'm getting off topic. Let's see if they have it. A picture. They have it in this type of packaging down here, like little rice with like pickle plum or something like that. Yeah, and like the fish. But the way I realize is that they like to pickle it with vinegar or like rice wine. There we go, right here. Yeah, with the sesame seeds. I don't really like it that way. I like my rice with a little bit more flavor, which is why I use chicken stock, the bouillon, which isn't anything new. Really isn't. But yeah, I use that to make the rice taste a little bit better, or like just more flavor. But in the mackerel with rice. So yeah, it is predominantly like an Asian dish. Now that I think about it, now that I see it in my front of my eyes, now that I'm talking about it, but it's been pretty cool. I like it, and I really like the cow roast. I don't cook it with anything else. Cow roast rice. I just like the way it's not. Long grain isn't my favorite, just for the texture itself, and it's just like it's a bonus that it's pretty local to like here, which isn't exactly the most convenient for the environment, I think. Because rice, needs a lot of water. It needs patties. But I enjoy it. Yep. I do love eating it. Where's it? I do have some ideas in the future, but I do want to cover over the ingredients pretty fast. So you already covered the rice, the 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Just funny because the fish coming from the sea. If you don't wash it, it's like it's pretty salty. But I wash it. It's a pretty standard thing to wash those fish. But California, the bay, or I guess you can say the shores, aren't always the cleanest. You do have to be careful because some fish are contaminated more than others. Mackerel usually isn't in that category of like it's kind of dangerous to eat. It's not, but I usually do wipe away what I think is mercury that's on the ribs or the belly cavity. There's like some silver, which I assume is like heavy metals. You can wash that away, and you're set to go. Nor chicken bouillon is a pretty. I think it's pretty universal. The Hispanic community and others. Not exactly sure. Outside of the Hispanic community, black pepper. Everyone uses lemon lime, cilantro. A staple, garnish and herb that we use in Mexican cuisine. Very sure other cultures use it, but to me it's Mexican. To me it's Hispanic. And occasionally I do like using barbecue and teriyaki sauce. Just sometimes when it's like, it just depends on the day, you know. I like it the way I like it, with little like crispy skin on. That's where it differs. So the skin on this is usually just like cooked. There's like whatever is the outcome is just like out of just so happens to be the consequence of that. But I like my skin pretty crispy because it gives like a pretty good texture. The difference between the very soft flesh of like meat of fish and the crunchy of the skin. It's really good. Like it very much like it. Um, but yeah, that's where it comes from. Sometimes I do like to shred the mackerel too. When I think about it, I think there's something. I've done this once. No way, some yeah. If I feel a little bit too lazy, I do that. I make mackerel patties. Then like a handful of times. Tastes pretty good. Obviously, the texture is kind of different. Little crunch on the outside and very soft on the inside. Very fishy. I would say that if do that, I would opt to soak it in vinegar first. Rice vinegar to take away that fishiness because it tastes alright. But yeah, that's the way I like my mackerel. And that's the story of where it comes from. Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.